Warning, your brain is not lazy. It is being slow cooked at extreme temperatures every second by Silicon Valley's algorithms. The protocol we are executing today requires absolute compliance.
This is not hyperbole. It's a relentless neurobiological assault on your cognitive baseline. Every single time you instinctively grab your device, standing in line for coffee, waiting at a red light, you're actively eroding that baseline. You're subjecting your neural circuitry to a high-speed synthetic environment it simply didn't evolve to survive. Look at this circuitry. Infinite digital stimuli uniquely hijack the mesocortical limbic pathway. Every notification, every frictionless interaction, and every infinite scroll forces your brain into a state of toxic neuroadaptation. Let me be clear. Your brain is actively rewiring itself to demand a constant, high-speed drip of digital noise just to function. It structurally alters your dopaminergic and neuronal activity, conditioning regions like the anterior cingulate and orbital frontal cortex to expect non-stop, high-velocity stimulation. It's exactly like flooring the accelerator of a car while it's in neutral. The engine is literally tearing itself apart simply because it's been conditioned to run hot. Pleasure and pain share the exact same neurological real estate. They function like a seesaw. Unnatural, algorithmically induced dopamine spikes violently tip the scale toward pleasure. The inevitable homeostatic response? A massive crash. Your baseline drops out from under you, plunging you into a severe dopamine deficit state. You cross a physiological threshold where the scale tips heavily into pain. At this stage, digital drugs are required not to feel good, but merely to survive the dysphoria. You experience a profound state of unease, dissatisfaction, and emotional anguish. You aren't scrolling for pleasure anymore. You're scrolling to temporarily numb the pain of a depleted brain. You must understand the fundamental difference between the stimuli you're consuming. Natural rewards are effort-based. They demand friction. Think of the intense physical exertion required for a tough workout, or the laser focus needed to master a complex skill. These natural rewards provide physiological sustenance and maintain a stable, tonic dopamine level in the brain. Cheap dopamine is the exact opposite. It's frictionless, it's hyper-individualized, and it's infinite. It's supplied 24/7 by smart devices designed to ruthlessly deplete your neurochemical banks. The effort of a rigorous evolutionary pursuit has been replaced by a 3-second swipe. You're exhausting your brain's evolutionary reserves on absolutely nothing. So, is your restlessness a sign of weakness? When you inevitably fail to put your phone down, you immediately diagnose yourself with a lack of willpower. You feel guilty. Stop. This is an incorrect diagnosis. It is a severe biological reflex. You shouldn't feel guilt because you're fighting modified hardware, not about habit. Your neurocircuitry has been artificially modified to demand intervention. The hardware itself has been corrupted to prioritize algorithmic input over actual reality. Let me be absolutely clear. The restlessness and intense craving for your phone on day one are not signs of weakness. They are clinical symptoms of cheap dopamine withdrawal. When you remove the hyper-stimulating digital environment, the sudden absence triggers a profound reward deficiency. You'll experience acute dysphoria, anxiety, and irritability. You are in clinical withdrawal. Your nervous system is reacting to the sudden absence of a highly addictive substance just as violently as it would to the removal of a chemical narcotic. To reverse this pathology, you must forcefully confront boredom. Boredom is not an empty void, it is a biological necessity. Think of it as your brain's check engine light. It's an aggressive, homeostatic signal from your nervous system demanding the restoration of your cognitive set point. It's the necessary, productive pain of your brain attempting to recalibrate and heal itself from sustained overstimulation. A necessary neural shift has to take place. Surviving boredom forces your external attention networks to finally power down. They've been running in overdrive, constantly tracking digital chaos. In their absence, a massive activation occurs. The default mode network engages. This is your brain's background maintenance crew. It's the network absolutely critical for high-level, introspective processing and neurobiological recovery. It is the core architecture of cognitive homeostasis, responsible for consolidating memories, forming complex thoughts, and ultimately restoring your baseline. This critical transition is governed by the anterior insula. It detects internal physiological signals, a process known as interoception, which is just your brain's ability to physically feel what's happening inside your own body. Instead of constantly tracking a shattered screen of external noise, the anterior insula identifies your cognitive homeostatic deviation. It forcibly shifts your brain's networks away from tracking that superficial, external, algorithmic noise, compelling you to process your internal reality and confront the chaos within. Here is the clinical prescription: the 48-hour neural rewiring protocol. It requires absolute silence and uninterrupted boredom to reset your receptors. At hour 1, acute withdrawal and the dopamine deficit begins. Your brain will panic at the sudden silence. By hour 12, you'll hit peak cheap dopamine withdrawal. Expect severe anxiety, irritability, and restlessness as your brain violently begs for stimulation. But you must push through. At hour 24, your insular cortex distress shifts. The panic subsides and the default mode network fully engages for deep internal processing. Your background maintenance crew is finally online. By hour 48, your tonic dopamine pool is replenished. Neural rewiring is achieved. The circuitry that demanded cheap thrills has been overwritten. This is exactly how surviving 48 hours of silence can transform an average person into a highly focused genius.
Execute this protocol. Do not deviate. Once you survive these 48 hours, you will possess the brain of the top 1% of the population.